Today we'll start Unit 7, In the Spotlight. Whenever we mention the spotlight, we imagine someone performing on stage with the spotlights pointing at him, drawing everyone's attention towards him, because he is the star. In the modern day, we don't always have a stage, but we all have a magical box at home that lets us see all the celebrities and different kinds of performances. This unit is about the television. Here we have a quote saying, "Most people buy the highest quality television sets only to watch the lowest quality television shows." Indeed, we all have the magical box, but how we use it and what kind of information we gain from it does make a difference. Let's see what kind of television shows are there and how different they are. Turn to page 84 of your focus book and we'll look at some words about the television. First of all, let's look at some different types of TV programs. These types also apply to the videos on the many online platforms that we also use nowadays. Let's look at a few of these types listed here. Chat shows. These are very common in the Western culture. For example, the Graham Norton show invites celebrities to talk about their personal experiences as they promote their new productions. But chat shows are not only for entertainment. In Hong Kong, a number of these shows discuss topics from history to literature, even philosophy. The next one, let's talk about TV series. TV series aren't always dramas. They simply refer to any shows that has more than one episode. Notice the word series takes the same form for singular and plural. So you can say, I just watched one series, or I've watched 10 series. The next one, number 5, news and current affairs. There are so many things happening around us every day that watching the news broadcasts such as the BBC News isn't enough anymore. So some TV shows would summarize the trend of current affairs for us, like the Hong Kong Connection by RTHK, the longest living current affairs TV program in Hong Kong. Some shows would also invite guests to voice their opinions to help us see things from different perspectives. We also have game shows like 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, which is fun and educational. Also sitcoms, situation comedies. Usually a drama series that surrounds the plot around one group of people as they go through life, such as The Big Bang Theory and Friends. Now let's explore a little bit more about reality television. Reality TV is not like TV drama in that it is non-scripted. In this way, it is similar to reality that no one really knows what happens next. It is also closer to reality in that the participants of these shows are real people instead of actors. And just like we have different professions and hobbies in reality, reality TV comes in different types as well. From cooking, to wild adventures, to touring around the world to win a prize, even to observing some aspects of life of certain invited people on the show. Let's look at 3 of the most popular reality TV shows. Here we have 3 shows. One about surviving as a group, and 2 music competitions. Let's go through the text together and find answers to the questions in exercise 4. For the show Survivor, a group of people are divided into tribes and have to win challenges in order to get the prize. In this show, contestants are eliminated from the show if they are voted off by other contestants, and the ones who stay get to win the prize. American Idol and The X Factor are 2 of the legendary music competitions we have now. Contestants in American Idol also win by getting votes, but in this case they are voted off by viewers. and the method for doing that would be by telephone, text, or doing so online. But before they get to the stage of being voted by viewers, they have to get through auditions like a quick interview with their talents. And the ones who decide whether they get to proceed in the competition is a panel of 4 judges. Although it's also a music competition, things are quite different in the X Factor. While the American Idol is open to anyone at the age of 15 to 28, the X Factor accepts anyone who was over 12 to audition for the show. And during the competition, the contestants are not on their own because the judges actually play a role as well. They would coach the contestants as they proceed. For all these 3 shows, they have a common motivation for contestants to join and be part of this reality TV show. That is a grand prize. For Survivor, the prize is $1 million. But for American Idol and the X Factor, the winner will get a $1 million recording contract and a $5 million recording contract. The difference between getting cash and this so-called recording contract is, if you get the cash, you get the money. But for these music competitions, they don't just give you the money, they sign a contract with you that promises to work with you and support you until you reach that amount of revenue. But whether that money goes straight to yourself or to the company, that really depends on the terms of the contract. Keep your textbook open on page 84 and 85. At the same time, turn to page 15 of your word store booklet. Word store 7a summarizes the read words from the text that are about television. You now have 1 minute's time to complete word store 7a. That includes page 15 of your word store booklet and page 85 of your textbook. Let's check the answers. As you can see, the words audition, broadcast, contestant, panel, rehearsal, and viewer mean these things as they are listed. We are using the singular form for most of them because the definition refers to the singular form. Now let's see how you did for exercise 9. The BBC is a broadcasting company in the UK. And as a network, what they do is to broadcast something. Question 3. Elvis Presley, a legendary figure in pop music, failed something in singing at the local radio station. Among all the words we have here, something that you can really fail at, like an interview, has to be an audition. Question 4. For the Oscars, we know not all the movies will be over 4 hours. So what about the ceremony can be over 4 hours and are among the list of words we have can only be a rehearsal. Finally, for someone who has to answer questions on a quiz show, he must be one of the participants, or we also call them a contestant. For Word Store 7b, complete the table on page 15 of your Word Store booklet with the underlined words from the text, and then take the words from the table to complete exercise 11 on page 85 of your book. You have 1 minute. Let's check the answers. I hope you match the underlined words to the right places in the table. A quick note here about some of the words. An editor for a TV show takes different clips and put them together to create the final video. But the editor of books, who works at publishing companies, will be going through the written materials by authors and suggest any amendments. The word presenter for a TV show is like the host of the show, but since they are the person who is presenting the materials from the show, we also call them a presenter. Finally, producer. A producer is different from the director of a show, because if you are a director, you are the person who are at the filming site, directing everyone to act and to have the cameras in the right place. A producer is someone who oversees the whole production, just like Miyazaki does for most films at Studio Ghibli. Now let's see how you did for exercise 11. With all the first letters given, it shouldn't be hard. Just make sure you're using the right form of the words. For example, question 2. Do you use spell check to? If it's after to, we know it should be a verb, therefore we use edit. Question 3. If it's something you can enter, it must be a competition, the noun. Question 4. The question is, who is the most famous TV producer? If we ask for which, then the question could be looking for the most famous production. Then it has to be performance for you to take part in, and it has to be an entertainment, a thing that someone likes. Now let's go through word store 7c together to learn about adjectives. We use adjectives to describe things, and when we describe them, we can grade our adjectives and say that he is not just funny, he is quite funny, he is very funny, or he's extremely funny. But if you want to express strong emotions with powerful adjectives in a long paragraph, you might end up with sentences that says someone is very unpleasant because they are very similar, it's all quite interesting, that is rather beautiful, and that is extremely silly. On a bright side, this might add to your word count if you are doing a compo, but technically speaking, using too much of these modifiers, such as very, rather, and quite, would make your sentences seem clumsy. That's why instead of using countless modifiers with your adjectives, we simply have extreme adjectives. These are adjectives that are already very strong in meaning, and we do not have to emphasize with modifiers. For example, if you want to say someone looks beautiful, you don't have to say quite, very, extremely beautiful. Simply say, you look gorgeous. If you still want to emphasize it a little bit, say absolutely gorgeous. So the difference between using extreme adjectives and the usual adjectives is, the extreme adjectives are strong enough in meaning and do not have to be paired with modifiers. You now have 30 seconds to complete exercise 13 on page 85 of your textbook. Let's check the answers. In this exercise, simply match with the table on page 15 of your word store booklet, and you will see which of these are extreme adjectives and which of them should be paired with the usual modifiers. Here we have some more examples of extreme adjectives. Instead of saying very hot, say it is boiling. Instead of cold, say freezing. Instead of good, say fantastic, amazing, marvelous. Instead of just saying very bad, say awful, utterly terrible, dreadful, ghastly, abominable. Instead of very ugly, say absolutely grotesque. Instead of saying very interesting, say captivating, fascinating, gripping. And finally, instead of saying very angry, say you are furious. Instead of saying very scary, say terrifying, petrifying.